Alrighty, welcome back to the Sweet Shots podcast. Lucas Johnson alongside Mark Johnson, Chuck Johnson, with another special guest today, Mr. 29 himself, David Booth, following up Tom Hoagie, which I thought it was going to be a tough follow-up, but, I mean, to land David Booth, it's like our white whale.
That's a little, you've gone down a little bit on that one.
I don't know about that.
There's a common thread between Tom Hoagie and David Booth.
School.
High school.
Yeah.
Fargo South Bruins. There's a definite, we're leaning
towards
brown
the south
and
side of
gold. Yeah.
It's just like hockey, the South Shanley hockey team.
Mm-hmm.
We could field our own hockey team right here.
Well, David,
Sweet Shots,
welcome.
right? Yeah, thanks for
Thanks, guys.
being on. It's been a blast. So I guess to let the viewers and listeners know, again, we're going to be on YouTube with actual film. I got a new phone yesterday, so I will not run out of space on this one.
Just for this very reason? So you
Just
have
for
more
this
space.
exact
I love
reason.
it.
Had more space. So we're not going to run out. Last week we had some technical issues, ran out of space in my phone. Not going to happen this week. But to let people know, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're our residential club repair man downstairs, first level, doing a little bit of everything. But how about a little bit about your background? Where do you come from? Obviously, we said Fargo South. But
Yep. Background, raised in Fargo. Went to Lewis and Clark, AGZ South, NDSU. So pretty much Fargo raised. Got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering at NDSU. And eventually, a couple of years later, got my master's there as well. Grew up, working time, I was in the working in the egg industry a lot for Case New Holland here in town for about 25 years. Always been around golf, and Mark actually introduced me to my wife, Jill, in 1996, 4th of July.
Wow, I didn't
At
know
the
that.
Meadows.
I did not know that
At the
either.
Meadows.
And the patio of the Meadows watching fireworks.
I think he
Wow.
said, "Who's that?" So, and Dave, just so I can build on that story a little bit. Golfers, David, it's kind of the dream of a golfer. He got to marry the beer cart gal.
Yep.
Nice.
Cookies and Powerade were the secret there.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
every man's. That's
Every time Jill drove by, it was another cookie and power. We were buying each other cookies.
We had a lot
Powerade.
of cookies at the Meadows.
That's a good play. Well,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys know this, but my David was my very first boss of employment.
No kidding.
Very
Ca-
first boss.
Caddy master at Fargo Country Club.
That's right. I was a caddy at Fargo Country Club. He was the caddy master.
1989.
I'd show up and he'd say, "Grab the sticks and you're caddying for Dr. Howell."
Dr. Hall.
Mr. Buchanan.
Mr. Buchanan. Yep.
Yep.
I double
So-
loop for him one time. Him and another guy.
The double loop.
Yep. 2 bags.
And that's so we have so much to talk about with David, but let's talk about, because that's kind of, I started meeting you when I was playing, we were high school. I'm a couple of years behind you in school, but we had an opportunity to play some golf, and then we worked together at Fargo Country Club, and you were doing a little bit of everything there. I was working in the bag room and the golf shop that year. I think it was 88.
88.
But just talk a little bit about all the different roles you played at Fargo, because I think, didn't you work on the maintenance staff too at one point?
In 1989, yeah, I did. But started out in the bag room because I'd worked a few years in the public courses at Elzagle and Prairiewood, my first 2 real jobs, I guess. And then started at the bag room at Country Club, ended up going into the pro shop for a few years there. And then actually when I graduated from college, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So Steve at the time didn't put me in the lineup for the pro shop.
Steve Widener. Longtime
Yep.
pro at Fargo Country Club.
Yep. And so I ended up going to the maintenance crew for a little while, and then they started the caddy program, and that's where they brought me into that. So,
In that caddy program, how many caddies did you have at that time, do you think?
you
One
know,
rock star.
well, yeah, we had our mainstay.
Not you though. That was-
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I we were starting it from the ground up, and so we went to the young guys. We maybe had 6 to 10 at the time, so
Okay.
it was a smaller group. But we were trying to get that traction going because, just with the carts, golf carts and stuff like that, needing more golf carts. How about supplement that with the caddies? And I thought that worked out pretty well. I guess.
I'm just imagining a regular Caddyshack movie going on.
It was.
You got some brawls over by the cart shed over there, and
Pick up
Fight-
that blood.
Exactly. No, it was good. You were a really good boss, David. I don't know if I've ever
Pretty.
taken time to thank you for that.
Yeah,
I
appreciate
it.
that.
Yeah. Mhm.
So okay, so you worked caddy master, you worked some maintenance, bag room, golf shop. Did you get in the golf shop?
Yeah, I was in the golf shop for a couple of years. I think working with yourself, Greg McCullough was there at the
Yes.
time, Jane Grove, and of course Steve and Shelley Widener, and Kari that was there. I was a young whippersnapper at the time.
Sure. So a couple just quick memories from David from our time in the golf shop. We found ourselves on the golf course. I think you joined me at the turn.
Yep.
I went out and it was a quiet afternoon and I played the front side and I'm just I don't know, I'm 4 under through 6 or something like that. I'm just having the time of my life, the round of my life. I maybe made the turn at 3 or 4 under.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
And Dave shows up in his Ford. It's a Ford, right?
The Escort, baby blue Escort.
We're going to get to that in a little bit. He shows up. Hey, can I join you for the back nine? I said, yeah, you can. I'm in the zone. I'm on fire. And we talked about being in the zone when you're playing golf, where you just everything's fairways, greens.
It's easy.
It's
just
easy.
Easy
Yep.
game.
It's easy. Well, we talk so much about the zone that I talked myself out of the zone.
I was going to say that as soon as you bring up the zone, that's like the
Yeah.
biggest mistake a golfer can make. As soon as you realize you're in the zone,
You're out of the zone.
it's gone.
That's what Dave said. The first rule in Fight Club: don't talk about Fight Club.
Exactly.
So all of a sudden we get to, I don't know,
12,
12
13.
and I'm making bogeys that's common as your household sparrow. I mean, it was, I still had a pretty nice round, but I definitely fell out of the zone.
It was, I remember instantly going to talking about the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was there. Now, speaking of, I don't know if we're speaking of hole 15 at Fargo Country Club, Dave, you had a stretch. Was it that year?
Would have been a couple years earlier.
Can you tell us about your stretch on hole 15? It's a 188-yard par 3.
Yep.
Along the river.
Somehow it's like the hardest green to hit on that golf course.
I agree. I'm always
and
in a
it's
bunker.
like the straightest
Yep.
hole ever. There's
Stupid.
one bunker
and I'm in
and
it.
rough.
Yep.
Do you
That's
remember your...
Yep. So so
Dave's the last guy that's going to brag about himself, but here we go.
yeah. So it was the fall of 1986, and actually I was playing bad, and Steve Widener gave me a little tip one day on the range. He was our coach at NDSU at the time, and I can't remember where our tournament was a week before, but we were going to Grand Forks the next week, and I'm not sure what day it was. We were qualifying probably on Tuesday or Wednesday. And actually, we got to 15, and I was playing pretty well. And we couldn't see the pin. There was a tree in the background. It was changing colors, and it kind of blended in with the pin. And we kind of looked at it and said, I think that's where the pin is. So at the time, I was certainly not the longest hitter. I hit a 2-iron right at it. Okay, that looks good. And so we walk up there. I see the ball mark, and the pin was behind the tree there, and
In line
In
with
line with
it.
it, with it. And I said, I went over and keep walking up to it, and it was in the hole. And
Hole in one.
Hole in one.
Two iron.
Yep.
15.
So next day, I was playing. It was probably on Thursday, playing with Greg McCullough, and we got to 14, and I nailed the pin. I don't know what I hit in, maybe a wedge or 9-iron. I hit the pin, and get up to 15. So I'm pretty confident. Just last time I played it, I got a hole in one. Yep. And they had moved the pin, and we could see it this time. Hit the same club, and I lipped it out.
No.
I
Oh,
guess.
my goodness.
It lived up.
With that, yep,
Wow.
about a foot away. So that was kind of a fun experience.
That's impressive
And-
because I've always like struggled to hit that green.
Yes.
I'm more. You're a bunker. I'm
I'm
bail
bunker.
out to the right, which is not an easy chip because it all runs away from you. But it's not a small green either.
No.
But the fact that you still can't hit it.
Agreed.
Like if I make par on that hole, I feel like I made a hole in one. And it's just kind of one of those deals where it's just like I feel really good making a par on that hole.
Yep.
And you go hole in one. Did you make the putt for birdie?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, you go hole in one birdie
Yep.
back to back rounds.
And it was a lot different back then. They've cleared off a lot of the trees. And so there was overhanging elm trees at the time, and that's why they got rid of them, was because of the green.
Yeah.
And I remember in high school, Larry Wentz, one of the players, bounced one off a tree into the hole on that hole.
Wow.
So what you're saying is back then it was probably easier.
It was a lot of,
So-
I think everything funneled to the hole.
Well, so McCullough tells the story though for like the next 4 rounds, you hit the stick every time. Did it end after
Not
2?
af-
so you
after
hole in one
those
lip
2.
out.
Yep, after that. But I brought up UND because we did go up to UND that week, and I did win the tournament that week. So
Wow.
I was on a roll.
You were in the zone.
I was in the zone for
zone.
about a
You
week.
were in the zone.
Nobody's talking about the zone.
Yep.
All right.
He didn't talk about it though. He knew he was in it. He just didn't talk about it. He didn't vocalize it. That's the big thing.
Yep.
So apparently being in the zone is something that he's familiar with because I know David is Mr. 29, and that's how you introduced
I
him.
introduced him that. I was torn between going Mr. 29 or known Browns fan, but I wanted to be nice to him.
Yeah.
So I went with
We all have our faults. So the 2-9 mark, I think you were were you
I was
playing
there.
also? You were there.
Well, not in your group. I
Nope.
wasn't in your group. So the KX Amateur, I'll tee this up,
Yep.
David.
Yep.
Burn the pun. But KX Amateur back in the day, Friday at Moorhead Country Club, you'd play 27 holes. So you'd play 18 holes and then 9 to finish.
KX Amateur. It's now the
Okay.
Red River Amateur,
Now it's-
Moorhead Country Club. Right? I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
you did.
Same
Okay,
tournaments.
Anyway. Yep. Same
Yep.
tournament.
So I'm coming up the 18th hole. I just finished the 18th hole, I do believe. And Dave, you're already going back to number 1.
Playing,
You're
playing our second last 9.
last night. And I kind of saunter over to the tee box after I putted out or whatever. And you're like, how'd you play? I said, 77. Not great. How'd you play?
77.
77. We were right about the same.
Yep.
And of course you go, well, go get him this 9, Dave. Good luck. I'd like to recall something that I said that would
You
have
were the inspiration.
triggered the zone,
That's right.
but that's not it.
It was Bob Jameson, actually.
You were playing with Bob Jameson?
Bob Jameson, Clint Nelson, and Paul Koenig.
Okay, so there's some legendary old school golfers. That's fantastic.
What year would this have been? Did you mention it? I don't remember.
This was 1988.
88.
So we were in the middle of a drought. So it was hot. It was about 100, pushing 100 degrees that day.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Strong south wind.
In this tournament,
South.
this Jim Adelson's out there with the film crew. I mean, this is one of the majors.
Yep.
And so they always did that highlight show after the hole in one show that Sunday night. And I think I might have been paired with Craig Palmer. Anyways, doesn't matter. David, tell us about that round of golf. 9 holes.
So I'll give you a little advanced. Last 3 holes that I played in the 77, I birdied 16 and 18
Oh, you did. So you
Oh,
birdied
nice.
2 out of your last 3.
to get to 77.
Which back then that would have been a par. 16 was a par 4.
Par
right?
4, dogleg
Yep.
left, water on the left.
Yep,
Yep.
Before they
Yep.
made it impossible back there. But anyways,
So you birdied 16 and 18.
Yep.
A little timeout, reset.
what is the layover time between your 18 and your second or your third 9? Was there a little hangover?
Yeah, they're backed up there. I'm not sure. I think we had lunch and had hamburgers or something like
Okay.
Yeah.
Gatorade and a cookie.
that. Yep, that's right. That's right.
From the cart girl.
Yeah. I was. Yeah. I think actually the U.S. Open was going on, so I think we went and watched that.
Yeah.
And a little bit of that, and maybe that was the inspiration. I think.
But enough time. There's definitely enough time to cool off. So the birdies on 16 and 18 weren't necessarily like, oh, you're feeling this adrenaline and this momentum. It had stopped.
Yep.
And now you got to
Now you got to
Good mode.
pick it up again.
Yep. And hit a decent drive. But I was actually going to lay up on the first hole, which is a shorter par 5. You have to carry the water on your second shot. So I was just going to lay up for it. And Bob came over and said, there's a cut, first day cut or after the 27. And I said, really? Because it was the first time I'd played in the tournament. And so I grabbed my 3-wood and said, how aggressive I can get on the golf course. and hit 3-wood probably about, 3-4 feet away, and had a pretty easy eagle putt.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of got me going there. And I brought up the wind because the next hole, hole number 2, is a pretty tough par.
It is.
Par 4.
It's my nemesis.
Yep.
And it was a south wind?
South wind.
Ooh.
Yep.
So that'd be
And,
right into
Right
it.
into it.
Right into the fan.
Yep. And
Driver 2-iron?
driver 5-iron to the edge of the green and a chip
Okay.
up. And that was probably the hardest hole I had on the hole
Mm-hmm.
9. And got my par there. Do you want a hole by hole analysis?
Yeah,
of this?
3. What'd you do on 3?
3. Hit probably 5-iron in the middle of the fairway, hit sand wedge up to about 10 feet, made that putt.
Made it.
Yep.
Made it.
And the main thing, it wasn't actually hitting great shots. Just everybody's done it where you hit shots and I just started making every putt.
So you're 3 under.
Yep.
3
for those
under.
Keeping score. That's
Yep.
3 under.
Well, he's
Par
5
through
on his
3.
last 6 holes, technically.
Yep.
But anyways.
Hole 4,
Par
little
3.
par 3, a little water. Actually, kind of cut it a little thin. Some may call it a blade, but
What irons were you
Some-
playing then?
Some may
Were
say
you playing Peerless?
I was
What?
playing the Arnold Palmer First Flight. Yep, they were pretty popular then. I know.
Nice.
And about 10 feet away, again, a little thin, and made the putt. So, and that's when actually I think Adelson was the first time he had been making around. He would be driving around on his cart, filming and talking to everybody, and kind of had gotten it going by then. And so put him out. Yeah, I must have been on the radar or whatever. And so I got that one. So I was
4 under.
4 under after
4
4.
through 4. Yep.
And
Coming to the par 5.
par 5, easier one. It's downwind. Snap hook one.
Oh, you just trying to unload
That's
on
right.
one and you
That's
get a little
right.
quick.
What was your driver? What driver were you hitting? Then?
I was hitting
What
a TaylorMade burner. And so it was one of the first,
But not your modern burner where it's a big face. It's probably
yeah,
as big as the microphone. Head.
pretty tiny. And I did actually have a wood 5-wood. I was still playing a wood club
Nice.
back then. And
So you duck hooked.
duck hook it,
Stayed it out.
thinking
Kept it out of the yards.
didn't go out of bounds.
Good.
Actually, I think it was in a bunker, and hit 4-iron over the gully up, and there's another big bunker just short of the green there, and actually stayed just short of it, and just flipped up a little wedge to about a foot. So that was another.
Oh hum.
Yep. So it was
It's a
easy.
3-shot hole. It's a par 5. You played a textbook.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, 5 under through 5.
5. So I was feeling it pretty good, and
Long par 3 coming up next.
long par 3 hit I think 6-iron or something. I think pin was way back. It's a really long green there.
Yes, it is.
And pin was way back, and 20-footer missed that, and was feeling still.
Wow.
I got it.
He's human.
Was it an easy par putt? I mean, was it a tap in, or
Yeah.
did you have to work for the
Yeah,
par?
no, that was pretty easy.
Okay, all right.
So
So it's
the
Not to
putter.
derail, but I've aced that hole.
Nice.
Just let it known I've made a hole on that one.
That's a good one.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Now it's on record, so
Yeah,
we're
thanks.
fine.
It's about as good as 15 at the country club there. It's a tough
Yeah.
hole.
Thank you.
And 7, a par 5 as the gully through the middle at the
Mhm.
time, and
tough hole.
tough under those situations. South wind, you got all those trees to the right.
Yeah, it's pushing you right into the hazard
Yep.
over there.
Do you remember
Yeah.
what you hit off the tee?
Driver.
You did.
Yeah.
Just-
And again, I wasn't the longest hitter, and
Okay.
still never got past that barrier, but just short of the gully, and hit same 3-wood right up short of the green, chipped up about a foot away, easy birdie. So 6 under.
6 through 7.
Yep.
There we go.
At
Like-
this point, do you recall thinking, wow, I have a chance to shoot 29?
Not at all. Not
See?
at all.
He's in the
He's in
zone.
the zone.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about the zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stays right
Okay.
in the zone.
Okay.
Were the guys in your group going like Bob Jameson? Well, you're going to make the cut now.
Yeah. That's right. You're moving. It's moving day.
Was there conversations about it?
I think they were staying away. They knew the
They
zone.
knew.
They
Yeah,
knew the
they
zone.
knew the
and
zone.
It's like a
unlike-
pitcher that's pitching that no hitter.
Yeah.
You just
Don't
let
talk
him be.
about it.
Don't even
Yeah.
talk to him.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. And so then 8,
Into the wind.
the end of the wind,
Par
tougher.
4. Yeah.
And actually, so I hit driver or whatever, and that was probably the best hole I played all day. I hit driver and then 7-iron about 6-7 feet away, maybe. Big breaker. Pin was
Yep.
on the left side.
Yep.
And made it.
Yep.
And
of course.
I mean, it was easy putt. Again, it's nothing spectacular, but you're just
Big breaker, easy putt.
Yeah.
I don't know those two.
It's kind of like the putt we have done on the putt view. The
Oh, sure.
Sure.
Big left to right or
something
on
like
there.
that.
Yeah.
So were you putting with your bullseye?
The bullseye. Yep.
The bullseye.
bullseye.
You and
Oh,
Corey
yeah.
Pavin.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And
That's you could putt right or left-handed with that thing.
and sometimes I probably wanted to, but
right? Not that day.
that day I was doing pretty good.
So you're 7 under going to the last hole.
Yep.
7
And so
through 8.
par 3
Over the water.
over the water, maybe 150ish, maybe 140 or something like that.
Mhm.
Back up. So first thing I wanted to do was sit around for about 15 minutes,
Think about it.
thinking about it.
Yep.
And
Oh, jeez.
so we're there, and I can't remember, Adelson came by at some point, but I knew he was up there. You could see the cameras and stuff, and so got up there. I think it hit 8 or 9-iron. I want to say it was an 8-iron, and tough south wind,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
pretty big green. Pin was back left.
Back left. I
Tough-
remember that.
Tough pin for that win, too.
Yes,
You get-
yes.
yeah.
And so where do I put it? Front right.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
Nice
Give-
bailout.
that's right.
It's
Give
over
my-
the water, though. I mean,
What'd you have left? How
That's a big
long of a
green.
putt?
Probably about 30, 35 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Okay.
that is one area we do have video
video evidence.
evidence of that. And
How did your first putt? How did you leg it up there nice and tight, or did you leave yourself a knee knocker?
actually, I hit it by probably about 3 feet.
Wow.
Ooh,
And
even
so
got
I
it
was,
by.
yep,
You don't hear that very often.
No.
Most
No.
guys are in the zone. I mean, you were in the zone.
zone. I didn't.
You wanted to make
So,
it.
yeah,
Yes.
you were like, let's go for 28. Why
He's
not?
putting for 28.
That's insane.
Any hammers. I know most guys, they'd leave that thing 15 feet short.
Yes.
Yep. And the greens were. I mean, again, it was hot. That was the drought summer. The greens were pretty fast, and just rolled it by. I was confident. I wasn't worried about the score. I was just worried about the shot.
Did you know it was for 28 at the time?
Truthfully, I don't even know.
Did you have anybody
I
on the
wasn't
bag?
thinking about it.
Anybody carrying, looping
no.
for you? Nothing.
I was carrying my NDSU bag,
Okay.
and
So you didn't have a
NDSU
caddy
Jones
trying to
bag?
avoid.
Is it
NDSU Jones bag.
That's
And
that's a great bag. I do
Yep.
have it. It's
Yep.
downstairs right now.
Yep.
family
Great bag.
family walking with you, or friends, or anybody?
Nope. Pretty much.
Okay.
You're
in the
flying-
zone on
I was
your
in
own.
the zone.
flying-
They may have
flying
been there. I
solo
don't
on
know.
his own. you kind of black out at this point. right?
The gallery ropes kept them away.
Right.
And,
Right.
But you had a little work to do
yep.
for your par.
Little 3-footer, and that I do remember. I was just aiming at the middle and just hit it, and I wasn't getting tricky with it. I wasn't going to play any break. It's a fairly flat green, and luckily it went in.
Nice.
That's a 29
That's unbelievable.
for those counting. That's 29 shots to get around 9 holes.
In a
It was
tournament.
In a tournament,
Right.
in tournament conditions, 100-degree heat, the cameras are on you. I mean, this stuff,
That's phenomenal.
that's
was fun.
impressive.
It was fun.
So then, this score becomes a calling card for David. I mean, it becomes, Mr. 2-9. I mean, it in some ways, to say it changed your life, it didn't change your life.
Yeah.
But it definitely is something that has stuck with you. Your close friends know you as 2-9.
2-9. Yep.
And I'll say this. You're the last person I know that would ever have vanity plates for your Ford Escort. Was it an
It was an
Escort?
escort. Yeah.
And was the story that your mother as a Christmas gift, or
So we'll expand on the rest of that day.
oh, I'm sorry.
So I was having car troubles, and actually, I was lucky my car made it to Moorhead and get back home. And Larry Murphy at the time is the pro at the country club, and he goes, "Do you want to keep playing?" And I was already 2 hours late because I had the closing shift at the Faro Country Club, and I called Jane after our 18 hole. She was subbing for me, so I was kind of feeling bad that I left her hanging a little later than she'd hoped be working there. So I made sure. I said no, I would have ruined it anyway. But so I ran home and ended up having to bike to work from my house.
Because your car wasn't
The
gonna
car
get you
wasn't
there.
running. So my mom, they were out west somewhere and knew I was having car trouble, so they ended up buying me a 1986 Ford Escort.
Sweet.
And so they, this is probably a week or two later, and so they ordered the plates at the time, and they show up at the house, and they say, "Miss MR29 on it." And I'm going, "What is that?"
You had no idea.
No idea. And it just hit me. It was like, "Oh no, Mom."
Oh, that's good.
And but Jim Adelson in the video of the tournament started calling me Mr. 29, I guess, because the next
Nice.
day they were filming and stuff. So that's where it kind of caught on. And
It's phenomenal.
2-9. I mean, so and that, yeah, you'd see this. Do you still have those plates? I think
I
they're
still
in your
have the
garage.
plates. I
Yeah.
have the plates. Yeah.
That is fantastic, and even your calling your signature here on the Top Tracer Gaming, right?
Yeah, you're,
2-9. Yep.
Yep. But you spelt it out. It's not just the numbers.
Yeah.
It's TWONINE.
That was always a debate to whether or not if I did ever get vanity plates again, should I put 29,
Ah.
XIX, Mr. 29?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe we'll do a poll.
That's
Do a poll. There you go.
fantastic.
That is, I mean, what is most impressive to me, and I think it just speaks to the golfing community as a whole, but that round was 1988.
Yep.
88. It is now 2022, almost 2023, and you recalled every shot from that round.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
every shot.
we're members at Moorhead Country Club, and the boys and I have played out there. And as we've been in rounds playing, we tried to recant how you got to a 29.
Yep.
And I think finally one time with the boys working here, we had you tell us each hole, and it's the precision. You just remember every
Yep.
shot.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
It is. I think it just most golfers get this because, and credit to our families that have to sit through this. And my fiance, she didn't know golf until we started dating, and even then she couldn't care less. But like after a tournament, we would sit down. Mark and I would sit down. Okay, let's break it down. And we're talking about club selection versus how I hit it. And this round was 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
And to watch their faces, they try and follow along.
Right.
People just don't
Well,
get it.
My wife has said I have a hard time remembering anniversary for crying out loud, but yet I can recap my high school shots. I remember exactly what clubs I hit at Faro
Yep.
Country Club my senior year.
Yep.
I know exactly where they went. It's ridiculous.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy. But I mean, something like that should be a 29. And maybe we've got listeners that don't quite understand the significance of shooting a 29. That just does not happen.
Yeah.
That does not happen. And to do it in a tournament setting, it's unbelievable.
Yep. And
Pretty cool.
a little bit of the video too back in the day. I remember there's some shots of Mark in his flowing locks.
Was this
Yes.
with the
Wow.
perm, or was this
No.
mullet, or
It was
post perm?
it was mullet.
This is
time.
post perm.
Yeah.
Post perm.
Yeah.
Was I on the
Yeah.
bag, or was I playing?
No, you were probably shooting hoops somewhere.
Okay,
Big basketball guy.
that's a big caddy guy for him.
Yeah, you might have been on the bag. You could have been on the bag, maybe.
We can
You
go
know-
back to the video.
Our claim to fame, and to my knowledge, this has never been done, and we won't spend any time recanting how it happened. But the men's All City
Yeah.
championship flight,
Yes.
I think it was maybe the low 32 would be my guess, and it was qualifying at
Moorhead
Moorhead Country Club.
Yes,
I made it.
you did.
You made it.
Well, yeah, but Dad and I were in a playoff.
And our dad made it.
Yeah.
All three of us made
Top
the cut.
32.
Wow.
And you guys were in a playoff.
Playoff. It was like 6 of us for 2, or no, it must have been 6 for 3.
3. I think it was 6 for 3. Went to the second hole.
Dad made it in the first hole.
Is this at
Classic.
Moorhead?
Yeah.
World Country Club.
Yep.
I think he might have birdied.
Yeah, I think
Just
he
a
did.
smooth birdie. Well done, Dad. Giving him knucks, and then I'll remember. I can recall the drive. It's into the wind. Number 2, my nemesis. I feather my drive out there about 200,
Yeah.
and
Not
then
much has
I hit a 2 iron. It rolls up to the front edge to about 6 feet. Missed the putt, my tap in par, and it was good enough to go on.
Yep.
Tough hole.
I think
Tough
that was
one.
1990, if I
It was.
remember.
Yep.
But
All
I
three
don't
of us
know.
made it.
3 of us from one family, a dad and 2 sons, all made the All-City
That's
Championship
impressive.
flight.
That was pretty fun.
Was
That's
your
pretty
dad
cool.
using the ping putter?
Oh yeah.
You had
Yeah.
to.
Okay, speaking of ping putters, nice transition.
I will say
Yeah.
he completely glossed over that fact in what you're going to talk about in his intro. He didn't even mention this.
No, we haven't even gotten to the reason why he's on the show.
Right. But in his intro, when he was giving his background, he didn't even mention it.
Yeah.
It's
There's
Sign
no mention.
Tractors.
We're in the 90s.
All right, so the third decade.
Like when I
here.
was in kindergarten.
No, and this is a unique opportunity to visit with somebody that has had a role in the golf industry at the highest level with one of the golf
The
companies.
one of the premier golf companies.
And we're talking about Karsten Manufacturing, Ping Golf Equipment. David, your role was what with Ping?
So I was brought in as a project engineer. So a project engineer just covers the whole facet of whatever project you're on. So with us, it would be like G25 irons, I-25 irons, and you would take that from the marketing group. Usually the advanced engineering group had been working on it already, or had kind of developed some stuff, and the designers were working on it months ahead, probably 6 months before we even saw it. And so we would take it with the marketing group. We'd look at pricing. We'd look at the goals, the demographic of the players that they're looking at. Is this a game improvement club? Is this a players club? And then, so we'd start working with the designers and start working with the suppliers. Suppliers at the time, and still mostly are over in China, that actually make the club heads. And everything is sent to Phoenix to assemble them. But as the project engineer, we would go over to China. We would look at the clubs, making sure that they were making, doing the grooves right, making the color configurations, assembling them correct, and before we'd get the first prototypes. And then we would come up, and the project engineer would set up the test plan to evaluate the clubs, where we do up against competitors and get the evaluation and look at the performance of the clubs. And so we'd get all this test data and get it out on the test range of different people from the whole factory. It would come because they're looking for, 20 handicappers. They're looking for scratch golfers. They're looking for 10 handicaps, whatever. And old guys like me, I was probably one of the oldest people there at the time. That's the reason I say they brought me aboard, just to get a senior aspect to things. And so then we would get that test data, make sure we'd go back and we'd evaluate it. And that's one of the things that, Ping is very adamant about. If it isn't better, we're not going to release it. The focus is it spinning more, whatever their goal is, if it's going farther, if it's more consistent, to reduce your dispersion. And if it doesn't, they won't release it. And so we take that. If there's any changes, we're working with the suppliers again, getting higher quantities of volume in, because it's amazing how many clubs you have to build once they go to production. You want everyone right, because if something's wrong, it's a lot of scrap.
Yep.
And
A lot of waste.
yep.
How long did you work for Ping?
So I was at Ping for about 2 years. I went down before the family came down, and we were down there. Eventually, just from a family aspect, so from the time I came from college, which I always wanted to do, was work at a golf club. It was 25 years after I graduated from college. So obviously my life had changed, and we had 2 younger boys, Dalton and Evan, and we just decided we didn't want to raise them in Phoenix, and we knew Fargo, and moved back to Fargo.
Came back.
Yep.
So my understanding is that, and this has probably been exaggerated over the years, but like you applied, like that's why you went to school to be an engineer. You applied almost every 5 years to Ping until you were finally hired. Is there any truth to that?
Early on, I was, obviously you're sending letters in at that time, and I did an interview with them in 1990, I think at the time, and the Ping I2 was the club. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Everybody was playing it from
Yes.
beginners to everyone on
Those were
tour.
my first set of adult clubs.
Yep.
Were his Ping
Ping
I2s.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just occasionally I had a good friend who was actually my golf coach at South my sophomore year, who is still a Ping rep down in New Mexico, Brad Gerke, who was a local golfer too. He always kind of kept me in the loop, and eventually a couple of openings. I did interview for one job, didn't get that, and they brought me in as a different role, which actually suited me probably better in 2012. So it's been 10 years.
And I think you told me that one of the first meetings you were in, it was about fairway medals. And did John Solheim put you on the spot and just ask you, Dave, what do you?
John Solheim. He's
Or
like,
what I say?
well, no,
Or
you
John
said. I
Sol-
was just going to say
Oh.
for those that don't know, John Solheim is like
He's the son of Karsten, and was
started Ping.
who started Ping, and now his son John
Junior.
Junior is kind of heading up the thing, but John was the CEO at the time, and actually we had the incident was in my interview, so I got and I think it was actually Brad Schweigert and Mike Nicolette who were drilling me on this. And at the time, the Ping answer hadn't come out as far as drivers. They had come out with a new players line, and they put that in front of me and said, "What do you think of this?" And I point blank said, "I play Titleist drivers because your drivers are too loud." And it's not,
So that would have been the G series around there?
G
When they
was
bred?
was coming out. G20 was out,
G20 was out.
and
So then they went G20,
Ping.
G30 or
G25
G25
was my first real project. Was the first one I worked on.
because growing up, not that I was like the market, but I had the same thought.
Yep.
Too loud.
Too loud.
Too loud.
Yep.
I just put my G3 away this year. Quit playing it. Never,
G30.
you gave me a bad time, David. You're like,
Yes, that's
did
right.
you buy that when your youngest was born? I just upgraded this year. I love
Yeah.
that driver. I might pull it out after the way I hit it last night.
Right.
If you hit the middle all the time, it doesn't make as big a difference. So,
Wow.
so
Good point, Mr. 29. Thanks.
So, but you were
So,
able to.
yeah.
Here's my opinion on that, and,
Yep.
and they valued that
Yep.
obviously, and that's
Yeah.
why they hired you.
it was the answer driver was, traditional look, as a part to say a persimmon wood. It was bigger because that's all they all are bigger, but to a traditional golfer, it looked appealing to your eye.
Did.
Mhm.
And it wasn't like the Nike Sasquatch or the anything like that, or
Played
the
the Sasquatch.
square. And
Yeah.
That's the loudest driver ever made.
yeah,
You think Ping struggled with
Might have been
it.
some of
Nike,
their marketing.
I think it
standpoint
was, yeah.
that, what is that?
You
Yep.
knew what you were hitting.
Yep. And so I think they valued that. One, I'm sure they knew about it, and that I was honest about it. It wasn't.
Mhm. How about your golf ability? Did that come into play at all in the interview? Like, is that important? You had to go out and actually try equipment.
I went out. Yeah, actually, I was putting. I remember on the putter lab
Oh yeah.
there, and Brad Schweiger too was the manager of the engineering department. Had me up there, and if I could do anything good on the golf course, it's probably putt. But so that was an easy one for me. I'm glad he wasn't asking me to hit drivers.
Well, in talking about putters, your experience at Ping with putters, in my book, I think Ping is so well known for their putters. I mean, they were the first to kind of do obviously the answer, which has been, I won't say copied, but replicated by every major club brand.
Correct.
With the plumber's neck or whatever you want to call it. I mean, that was revolutionary. Ping's known for their putters. Do you have a hand in anything they did as far as putting goes?
So the big thing as far as the putter, and so I became good friends with Tony Serrano, who is the head of their putters right now. And we were the same age. We graduated the same year. So we kind of just had a good friendship while we were down there. And so he comes up to me, Boothie, hey, we got this new putter coming out. And we got some names for it. What should we go with? And he rattled them off, and it was the Rustler. And I said, it's got to be the Rustler. I mean, it's just a solid name. And so that was in that.
You got to name the putter.
I got to name the putter. Yeah.
Well, that's
The
cool.
Ping
Well,
Rustler.
They took my suggestion. I won't
Your
say that
suggestion.
it was yeah.
And didn't that come full circle? You're here fitting putters, and somebody came in.
Yep. Gentleman from Minot, I can't remember his name, but so he comes in and so show me your gamer or whatever. And I remember Lucas was standing over
It was probably right on the edge.
by the
somewhere.
edge. Yep. And I said, you will not believe what he just gave. And it was a Rustler.
Ping
And,
Rustler.
So that
That's
was
pretty
kind
cool.
of fun. I think another aspect is the Thrive. One of the last projects I worked on was the Thrive Junior set.
Oh, good idea.
And
Mhm.
having two kids that would have been playing that club at the time, they wanted some input on the graphics for the shafts on that. And so I brought the shaft graphics brought it home and showed Dalton and Evan, and they got to pick the graphics for the Thrive.
Oh, that's cool.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
wow.
So
That's
when,
awesome.
so when they came out, like the next year after we'd come back to Fargo, that was kind of fun to always see those.
That's really cool.
So I have another question. What was there something about the grips on the wedges that you had some input on as well with the markings?
So the markings. So there's levels. I don't know how much input I practiced with it, but as far as getting the yardages, but people may not notice there's different markings height wise on the wedge that you're supposed to use
on ping wedges.
on ping wedges to adapt different distances. Say if you want to take off if you want to take off 5 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards, whatever, as you graduate down to the end of the grip, you'll hit it shorter. And so just on the range and stuff, we would hit shots. That was also the other thing when you get a meeting notice to go hit balls on the range. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
That's
that's cool.
really tough.
Yeah.
We need to do more of that.
I was
here.
going to
Yeah.
say,
I
can
think
we
so.
implement that?
Yeah.
I guess we
We'll
did some
start.
product testing early on for
Yep.
our new Bay clubs.
Yep.
That had to bring
Well-
you back a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And that's where this is, great to hear these stories and what you did in your past. But going as we opened up Sweet Shots, it's as operators and owners, we're super proud to have you on as one of our leaders, overseeing the club repair, the shop. I'll call it the pro shop down there, where people come in and if they're looking for clubs to be regripped, reshafted, fixed, you name it. But the big thing too is the putting area, the putt
Yeah.
view. And I know, Lucas, in previous podcasts we've talked about putt view, but to have David in there for fitting, and I maybe touch a little bit about that. And I went through it. I don't know if we ever finished. I think we went 45 minutes. It takes a full hour. Might explain why I'm not making any putts yet, but you were able to notice my miss.
Yep.
Not to the point of where Mark, after playing golf with me for 25 years, can pinpoint exactly when I'm going to make or miss a putt. I don't know if you heard this.
No.
We were
No.
doing a putting
You were
contest
hitting
down there,
that right to left putt up there.
and I was missing. I missed, and finally I made it. He goes, "I knew that was going in." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you didn't do the forward press." I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He goes, "When you do the forward press, you always miss."
Go right.
Yeah.
Thanks. You never told me that was my miss.
Could have
Played
told
high
me that
school
in
golf, college
1990.
golf. Didn't tell me that. Might have improved my game a little bit. So,
Yep.
Anyway,
It
You're-
is.
talk about the technology maybe a little bit in that role and what you're doing there with here at Sweet Shots.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Unbelievable.
I guess first off, I appreciate you guys bringing me on to the role I have. It's probably the best mix for me as far as the area that we want to live in and being in the golf industry. So I really appreciate you guys thinking of me and putting me in this role, I guess. As far as the technology that we're using down there with the putt view, we combine a few things using the iPing app, which gives us a lot of pre-strike data to when a person sets up to hit their putt, say from setup to ball strike. It gives us a lot of great information. It's unbelievable how accurate it is to fitting a putter to a person.
And that's not just, it's called the iPing app, but we use it for more than the pings. We've got
Correct.
A few selections down there. We now have Mizuno putters, Callaway putters, some PXG stuff. You can use it on anything, just developed by Ping.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And we both are certified Ping putter fitters.
Yep.
And so to be able to use that, like you said, it's amazing. So
Yep. So it gives us a lot of just tendencies of whether or not you're pushing too much, what happens when you hit that putt, what you're doing. So you're looking for characteristics and what it shows you. And then we also use the GC Quad, which gives us a lot of post-strike data, ball data, as far as spin, rotation, and stuff like that. But then we also combine that with the putt view green, which is, this is a large green. I mean, you can do 10-foot putts, you can do 25-foot putts, and there's a difference in what the performance of what your putter's going to do in those distances.
Plus breaking putts too.
Exactly.
Which that's my biggest thing. When you come in for a putter fitting, it's really easy to go somewhere else, find one you like on the rack, swing it a couple times, make a few straight putts. This looks great. Then you get on the golf course and you got a 7-foot left to right putt, and you're like, I hate the way this thing looks.
Yep.
I hate the way it feels.
Yep.
Here you can do all that. You can check all those boxes where all of a sudden, I'm sure you've had this, but they get on the putting green, they get up there, they were striping it on a 10-foot putt, they stand over the breaking putt and they go, I don't like this anymore.
Exactly.
And to be able to offer that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
And actually Tom Hoagie was here last week and we were talking about it when we were down there, and he asked, how are you doing the alignment and stuff? And Mark and I both kind of looked at each other. We've got a laser adapter that you can put on your putter, because one of the things is, what are your tendencies of aiming? I think Tiger's probably one of the ones that was a right aimer, but he's worked around it. So you're trying to look at how far you're aiming right or left with that laser. And if that's something that you need to correct, and is your putter that you have helping you correct that,
Sure.
or is it something that you should correct in your putting stroke? Maybe?
Yeah, and that's, the putt view, in my experience, I won't say it eliminates that, but as far as a confidence level in areas that we can highlight outside of your tendencies, right? Whether it just becomes the putter, right? What putter is good for you, because you eliminate that alignment side of things, and then you go back and you check it with the laser. We're still missing some of this. Is it an alignment deal or is it a putter deal? And the combination of all that stuff, and then your understanding of all these numbers, because to John Smith off the street, they see all this number and they don't know what's going on. So to have someone like you that can dilute it and express it in layman's terms, that's huge.
Yep.
And I honestly believe putter fitting is not the great unknown, but so many people have the wrong putter for them.
Right?
Yep.
That they end up, it does truly cost you a couple strokes around, because you're standing over that 5-footer or whatever, and you just, whether you don't feel comfortable or it's not fit for your stroke type.
Exactly.
And putters aren't cheap. If you're going to go buy a good, decent putter, you want to make sure you're investing in that right putter. I think it's imperative that you get fit for it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what we're offering here at Sweet Shots with the two of you being fitters.
Yep. And actually it comes at no cost if you end up buying a putter, because we take it off the price. So it's a very effective way to get you into something that you should maybe be using. And
but with that said, not to turn this into a whole big ad for our putter fittings, which you should do because it's amazing. But I've seen a couple occasions where the person's in the correct putter for them, and they're not necessarily dead set on a new putter, but you show them the information in front of them, and you're like, honestly, you're in a really good setup.
Exactly.
Here's your tendencies. Just go work on it a little bit.
Yep.
Save yourself the $350 or whatever it is, $200.
Yep.
At least for the time being, and practice.
Exactly. The sole purpose is not to sell you a putter, it's to make you a better putter. And so, and it's happened several times and you find it, I think, in a lot of the better golfers, because they're better golfers for a reason. They know how to, but they may pick up a tendency or something that, I didn't realize I was doing, so maybe I'll work on that. And you give that to them to work on.
Like me and my forward press on a putting green.
You could use a new putter though.
And I
Chuck.
need a new putter.
Yeah.
You've given me that toe weight and you've shown me which putter I need
Yep.
to
Yep.
do it. I'm just waiting for the price to come down just slightly, and I'm buying.
Christmas is coming.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
So a person goes through a putter fitting experience with you, David. How much would you jump in and change something they're doing with their stroke if you see it's
Yep.
like, you know what,
we
this
did what
isn't working?
we did one last week, and I was a younger gentleman and very consistent putter, but some of his extremes were pretty far out there.
Okay.
And so didn't necessarily want him to invest in a putter 6 months from now. He works on these things and now he's in the wrong putter. So the suggestion is, in most the fittings kind of end up, I don't know, 25-50% to end up being a lesson too. Make sure you're doing the right things, because you don't want to be fit to that, and then you go in the process of changing things, and again you spent $300 on a putter.
Yep.
And now
It's
I
the
got
wrong
to change
putter.
again. Exactly.
It is interesting when you look at the makeup of a putter face and how big the difference is from a center strike versus slightly on the toe, slightly on the heel.
Yep.
And you talk about consistency, and I think that's the overall goal of a putter fitting is to get you, and fittings in general, is to get you the most consistent thing and what you're most confident with. But I feel like it's almost more important with a putter because, we talk about the spin on the golf ball that comes, the skid off the golf ball. We don't have to get into all the numbers, but that changes immensely when it's a couple millimeters towards a toe, a couple millimeters towards a heel.
Yep.
Now technology is they're putting it in the putters to make it a little better, whether it's even roll or whatever you want to call it. But it goes back to being able to find the right one for you that's most consistent, fits your stroke type, and deliver that back to the same spot every single time.
Yep. And to grow that confidence that that's what's going to happen. They talk about MOI, and basically that's the moment of inertia is the resistance, we'll call it, to turning. Mm-hmm. So wherever your face is, so on a miss hit, if you have a higher MOI, it'll resist that tendency to turn or something like that, and help you keep it on line to where you think you're aiming. So,
Sure.
And that's big in the golf industry right now when you talk about both drivers and putters.
Yep.
I know a lot of and this will be interesting come January when all the manufacturers release their new stuff, but I know last year was huge on just about everyone's radar was what was the MOI, whether it was putters or drivers.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see where they go in the next couple months, but
And so MOI, with my engineering background, that's some of the stuff that we bring back into what the designers at Ping were always looking at is any game improvement club, whether it's a club, a putter, whatever.
Yep.
A high moment of inertia. What it does is it limits how much you can work the ball. The professionals like yourself and, the guys on tour,
like myself.
And
I thought you pointed at me. No, it was you.
They go to the blades that have less MOI because they want to be able to work the ball.
Sure.
And do things to the ball and manipulate it to their shot pattern or to work it around things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get it to.
So the last thing I want to bring up about David, and again, it goes back to having somebody as skilled as David on our team, is leveraging his engineering mind. So not only is he helping with putter fittings and club repair, and I think David must cringe anytime Mark and I come down the steps towards his office.
Oh, no.
Because
he knows what's coming.
Hey, David, we need to come up with something to help with the wind here at Sweet Shots. So, of course, we have to go to the engineer. So we're putting up wind walls, or we had a little event a few weeks ago with the ice storm, that perfect storm of ice and no wind. And now we're putting a plan in place to knock some of that ice off when it happens again. We know it will happen again.
Yep.
So we put David on point to work with our facility team to come up with a solution there. So again, you probably cringe when you come to with these ideas, but it's much
fun.
bigger. David's much bigger than just being in the pro shop there fixing clubs.
Yep.
So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, and I enjoy it. I absolutely love being in this atmosphere. The mixture of golf and people. To us, I think down in the academy area, it feels like you're at a golf shop.
Yeah.
And that's just a fun atmosphere.
We try and keep it light down there.
Yep.
Well, and I think anybody that doesn't know you and listens to this might get a little glimpse into just, you're a regional treasure, David, in the golf community. And you're a great person beyond golf, but in the golf community to have someone like David working with us and at our disposal for the entire region to be able to experience, whether it's his putter fitting or just your knowledge about golf equipment, from fittings to even how to play the game. You truly are a treasure, and it will be, it's just a matter of time. Folks are it's going to be like this trip to the golf Mecca. They're going to be coming from all over, finding ways to get here to spend.
Here. Yeah.
It's
Take
like
a
the
picture
Yoda.
with Mr. 29.
Yep, Yoda of golf. I mean, we should have this rotating on the big
Yeah.
screen out by the interstate.
Yeah.
Come take your picture, Mr. 29.
Mr.
Mr.
29.
29. Maybe you two can shoot 29.
Well, when that other Browns fan in this United States comes to town, he can belly up with you and talk.
He'll know to
Browns
come.
football.
He'll feel the presence of.
That's the only
Browns.
downfall of Mr. 29 is he's a Browns fan. I mean, there's probably a story there on why or how one even becomes a Browns fan. That
The 70s and
Yeah, that's a
Bernie
weird time for
Kosar,
everyone,
that's
right?
pre-Bernie
That was
even.
Brian Sight.
Browns hype. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
But I do tell some of the Viking fans,
Yeah.
you know, I was once a Viking fan, and I do have Super Bowl memories of the Vikings.
Okay.
A lot of people don't have those.
I have
Yes.
the
Yeah.
loss to Oakland.
Oakland. I remember
Was that pushed you over the edge?
Steeler-
That was it?
the Steeler? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Like where you said enough's enough.
That's it.
I'm
I'm
out.
done.
Four.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
4 losses.
Yep.
I'm done.
And the cardiac kids came to my rescue, and 40, 50 years later, it's no Super Bowl.
Almost the same spot.
Yeah,
really.
it's very similar.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you said, Marco. You could get into this for hours and hours with Dave, and probably have him back on again. And we just, I think, scratched the surface. But I mean, nearly an hour of stories and putter fittings and all that stuff. It just kind of lends to the fact of the kind of guy that Dave is, and to have him around here is awesome.
Appreciate it.
So,
Absolutely.
not to be a abrupt transition, but getting into some of this golf news that's happening. We were teased a little bit this week. It was supposed to be, we touched on it last week with Tom. This was supposed to be Tiger's week.
Yeah.
He was going to be back. First time playing this year. He was ready. Unfortunately, we have to push that out again. He has withdrawn from the Hero World Challenge due to plantar fasciitis. Now, I personally have not had plantar fasciitis. I hear it's pretty bad.
It's brutal. Mark, you remember when we went to Minneapolis to do the TC10?
Yeah, we played Interlaken,
Yep.
9 holes. We couldn't ride. We were going to, I think because we were running the next day.
Yep.
And soft fairways and everything. And the planner.
Because I'd been going through it, and it actually had gotten a cortisone shot to help with it. But having gone through that, it's brutal. And so the last thing you want to do is go walk 4 rounds of golf.
It's too bad because you're
It
right.
is.
I think a lot of people, and myself included, were really looking forward to seeing Tiger back on the course.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like where you got to wait a couple months. He actually, this next round that he is still planning on playing is the match, I believe, on December 10th, coincidentally my birthday. So that's his gift to me, I think.
Yeah.
So hopefully he gets back. I saw a quote this morning because he had a press conference. And of course, when he does these press conferences, it's a big whole deal now. But he came out, he said, I can hit any shot you want me to. I just can't walk.
Does that next tournament, do they get carts?
It is the match. So I do think he does get a cart.
I wonder if he'll do that.
Yeah. Right.
Mm.
So the game's there. He said, I can hit any shot you want. I just can't walk. So, and he is adamantly against taking a golf cart in a PGA Tour event.
Sure.
He will not apply for
Sure.
that. And so he will make himself walk. But for a guy that's won a U.S. Open on a broken leg, you would think a little plantar fasciitis. For him
Be
to withdraw,
nothing.
it's got to be pretty bad. I would assume. So
Well, he's still going to be there,
yep. Well, it's his tournament, so
Yep,
he's hosting.
still
it.
gonna be
Yep,
there.
Yep.
and it's kind of 20 of the top golfers in the world. So
Yeah, I
it's
have
a strong field.
17 of the top 23.
Okay.
And as we kind of dive into it, my key players stat, I said all of them.
Yeah.
Because they're all, I mean, even your budget guys, you'd be looking at any other tournament. You're like, I need him on my team, you know?
Right. Matsuyama's out too.
That's right.
I did see that today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they got Corey Connors is in for Matsuyama and then
Seb
Straka
in
for
Tiger
for
Woods.
Tiger.
How about getting that call? Do you think they tell him you're taking
filling
the
in
place
for
of-
Tiger?
Yep.
Yeah.
Tiger can't play. You're
You're the guy. You're next man up.
you're the next man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No pressure.
So are we picking teams?
Yeah. We'll run through
Yeah.
it here really quick. Dave,
quick.
you
I think
if you
time
get
for a real quick.
anything-
I think not to just gloss over, again, ideally we try to give pointers to those out there listening that might want to do daily fantasy, right? And
Yep.
Lucas, usually we dive into some of these stats, core stats.
Mhm.
If it's strokes gained off the tee, if it's strokes gained around the green or what it might be. Your point is valid in this particular course. It's the top, 17. There's 20 players playing. These are the best of the best, really.
Yep.
It's a no-cut event. So
See, and I couldn't find that. So that was my
it
question.
is.
Is no cut.
Four rounds guaranteed. Typically with that, you're looking for birdie makers. But it's going to be probably 20 under, 18, 20, as long as the wind doesn't blow.
Right.
Yeah, and I haven't
That's
gone out to look at forecasts.
And I have on here that wind will be a factor.
Okay.
Yep.
Either way, though, with the world's best, it's going to be near 20 under.
Yep.
By the way, the three of us wouldn't make the cut. Well,
No.
that's a no cut. We're going to make the cut.
This is it.
We're
We're playing
even
this.
in. Mr. 2-9's in. It's a
This is it.
4-person.
So we asked Hoagie last week if we're making the cut in an event.
In the Houston one that he
Houston.
played in.
In
Could
a
the three
scramble
of
or
us
best
scramble?
ball?
Scramble.
Scramble. He was kind of him and
No, no. He looked. He said. He looked. He goes.
At Houston?
Yes. He
No,
said,
it was the he said the one in Georgia. He's like, you guys will definitely make that one.
no.
He
I
kind of
think-
hemmed and hawed at Houston.
No.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah,
way.
we have some housekeeping to do with that. That Fargo's him not winning a state title.
Yeah.
That bothers him.
It bothered.
It did.
So
Still
that
bothered him.
unfortunately
I said it would.
that the video cut out then, so people missed it. But he removed his headset. He set down his microphone, and he was halfway out the door before you got him back in that seat. And you didn't even
With a
mention
smile
what it
on his
was.
face. Yeah. It was good. Yeah. Well, as a
was
Bruin
all good
yourself,
fun, yeah.
state champs. Was your team a state champ when
No.
you played?
No,
Yeah. Deacons were a
weren't.
powerhouse back then too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Minot actually
Oh,
was.
okay. Okay. Well, never mind.
Anyway.
So, no cut event.
Mm-hmm.
And so key stats really get, I think it's, for me, it's who's playing well right now.
Yep. I agree. I kind of had that on there as well.
So,
Um,
but can I point out before we pick teams, I think DraftKings messed up on their pricing.
did they really?
I'm tipping my hand. They did. So the individual, who I just picked on my roster, Mr. Kim. Tom Kim, who is arguably the hottest golfer, one of
Yep.
the hottest golfers, is 6,800
Yep.
on the low end. Now,
65 is what I have him at.
65. Sorry, 65.
Yep.
I really think that's mispriced. I think that affords you opportunity to spend up then and
Yep.
maybe get up to one of those 10K guys.
Yep.
The Roms.
Actually, I have
the
him on my
chefs.
team. I saw that too.
Yeah.
And I will say the only thing that Tom Kim's got to be, or maybe the DraftKings was looking at, is he is 20 years old
Sure.
and he's playing with the best golfers,
Yeah.
arguably to ever do it. He might be a little starstruck going down there,
Yeah.
trying to
might be.
find himself.
Yep.
But like you said, he's one of the hottest players in the game.
Yeah, that's a good point, LJ. He might be off his game based off the pressure.
Yeah.
I think for this particular format, one approach is if you get into some of these where you can do 15 lineups, 20
Yep.
lineups, pick some core guys and then build around them.
Yep.
And that's what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to go Kim because saving money.
Yep.
John Rahm and then Tony Finau. Tough to argue with where Rahm and Finau are right now. Those three are going to be my core, and then I'm going to sprinkle in three other guys in different lineups, and hopefully something hits.
I must be doing something right because I'm 3 for 3 on his core guys.
Is that the three?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now hopefully I'm not way off, but that's what I'm doing
No,
this
and,
week.
and that's kind of what I had. So, in my research with everything, this is a unique golf course. There's 5 par 5s and 5 par 3s. There's only like 3 par 4s on the front 9. And it's I won't say resort style because the greens are on the smaller side, but there's wide fairways.
Yep.
and it's Bermuda grass greens. So we talked about that a couple weeks ago with how important putting becomes on those greens.
And there's stats out there, LJ, on who are the strong performers on that Bermuda grass. You can do a quick search.
Yep.
And you can see some of these guys listed there.
Yeah. And so
And Tom talked about it last week, right?
Yeah,
How he
it's
prefers
so
putting
different.
on certain, if it's Poa or Bermuda.
Yep. So I had big ones on approach because they are a little smaller greens. So an interesting stat that I found, they average about 4,500 square feet. So in relation, Pebble Beach, known for their small greens, they're at 3,500 average. St. Andrews on the other side of the spectrum is 22,000 square feet on average.
Wow.
So these fit in a little smaller side. So I thought that was kind of interesting to throw in there. The other interesting stat that I found, so we've got 7 new players to the field. They've never played here before.
Mm-hmm.
But the stat that I found is that doesn't necessarily hamper someone or handicap someone.
That's right.
Because we've had past champions.
First timer.
Hovland last year was a first timer.
That's right.
Rahm in 2018 was a first timer.
Yep.
Both those guys won. So not necessarily a handicap when you look at that. But
Yep. Course history may not be as strong in
Right.
when you look at other tracks, other tournaments.
Right.
Yep.
So because you've knocked out half of my lineup.
Yeah.
do
I
you
have my team.
Do you have your team? Okay,
Want me to
go
go?
ahead and then I'll follow up.
Well, I think
actually-
historically how we've done this is that the person who won last time gets to go first. And
last time was worst ball though, wasn't it?
we
Or
did both.
technically.
Yeah, that's true.
We didn't.
And
We
you know
touched
Mark's
on the
winning
worst.
worst.
Yeah.
Anywho, so I mentioned my core guys, Finau, Kim, and Ram. And then I'm going to go Sung Jae
Nice.
Fitzpatrick. I love that guy's game.
Yeah.
He's just steady Eddie. And
Does
then
he still do the reverse hand chipping?
Yeah.
Didn't you try and
Yeah.
pick up on that, Mark?
Yeah.
For a little bit?
oh, wait a minute. He's a reverse hand chipper? I mean,
Left hand low chipping.
Left hand lone chip.
Okay.
Some longer shots even.
Does he really?
He's moving it out, it looked like. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh boy.
I'm going to have
All
to
right.
watch.
There you go.
And then this last guy I put in every time because he burned me a lot of money, Tommy Fleetwood.
I knew that was coming.
I gotta have Tommy in there
Yep.
for that 62 he's gonna fire on Sunday.
Mhm.
That's my core.
I'm 4 of 6 with you.
Okay.
And this was before we didn't even set
Yeah.
this up together. So I had John Rahm, Tony Finau, Tom Kim. Again, Tom Kim's a budget pick of the
Yep.
century there.
Yep.
So then I filled it with Hovland because he's a past champion.
Yeah.
He's been playing well. And I did do Tommy Fleetwood
Yeah.
because he's also been playing well. He picked up his first win on a DP.
I like the
World
flowing
Tour.
locks too.
Guy's got great hair.
Yep.
And then I'm rounding it out. I'm not thrilled about this pick, but I had the money, so I'm going to spend it. I got Jordan Spieth on there to round it out.
You know, he can either win it or he's gonna finish 20th.
Right, but it's a no-cut event.
I know.
So I'm, again, 20th doesn't sound
he
bad,
can
but
get
it's
the
a 20-man
driver
field.
going.
Yep. Driver and putter, those are his 2 big things.
He's
got it.
either winning this or it's gonna be
I'm
LJ.
gonna hold on for dear
He
life.
took 22nd and there's only 20 guys. Mark,
All right.
there's a lot of slapping the table over there when he rattled off his
Well,
name.
you guys, it's only 20
Yeah,
person
there's
field, so
not
you're going to
gonna
have
be
a lot
much.
of duplicate players. But I went with and Boothie. We might massage this before it goes final. But I went with
Wait, is this teammates
Yep, I
here
think
now?
so.
You have
Yep.
Boothie helping you?
Yep.
Good. 'Cause-
I went with wind players, guys that play well in the wind.
Okay.
So I searched out Texans. Scheffler,
Scotty Chef, yeah.
Okay.
guy plays great in the wind. Spieth, great wind player.
Mm-hmm.
Fitzpatrick.
I had Finau, and I swapped him out for Hovland, but we might go back. Fitzpatrick, good wind player. Fleetwood, he grew up in the wind. He loves the wind.
That's why he's got long hair, actually.
He loves it.
Yep. And then Max Homa, I just think that guy is
wild card there.
Yeah, I
New
was
dad.
I was toying with that for that exact reason. New dad.
How much has he
How much
picked up the
practice-
clubs?
We
He's-
talked to
he's
Tom
feeling-
last week.
yeah.
You think about all the factors that go
I
into
know. That made my
it.
decision.
Tom didn't even practice because of
Yeah.
how bad the weather is.
Yeah.
Think about you throw a kid in the mix.
I love Homa. I really do. I was going to pick him, and then I thought,
New
based off
dad.
what Tom said to us last week about not
All right.
not practicing.
Oh no!
Okay.
you
Oh,
can do
no,
that.
no,
What are you
keep him
doing?
in.
What are
Let's
you
just
doing?
take a look here. What?
Yeah.
You got
Now he
Kim.
burned it.
He's the steal of the century. Fantasy points per game, 101.8 for Homa. It's just hard to argue with.
No,
with
that's
that.
a
Yeah,
good
no,
pick.
that's great. I just keep
I'm
going
a
back to
believer
what Tom said.
he's going to be away from the house.
He might have the kid on the bag.
No,
Looping for him.
he's going to get out of there. He's going to get some sleep finally. Things are looking up.
Some of the best golf I played was when Dalton was born.
Okay.
There you go.
I think
Not
it's
a care in the world.
I think
You're
it's
high
a
on
very
life.
good incentive for you.
I
Okay.
like it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, I can't have all the same picks as you guys.
No,
or
we
we
gotta
got
be-
to tie.
There's
So that's your squad?
there's a-
That's my squad. Now the question is, do I get the win for
No.
last week when
With worst
we went
ball?
worst ball and my team, all my guys made the cut? It actually did better.
I
than,
think I actually
yeah.
no, because the goal
goal-
is
you're
to not be the worst in worst ball. Or no, is it
is to
worst?
be the worst.
To be
the
the
worst.
It's
So
to
then
be the worst.
I would be the worst because I had three
Yeah.
guys miss
Yeah,
the
you
cut.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But use all your money.
Congratulations.
Chalk it up, win column right there.
Boothie, I really didn't
Worst
get
of
your
the
take
worst.
on this, but you can have final say. You want to change anything up?
As a pink guy, I was Tony Finau. He's playing good. I think he's pretty strong. That was one player that I would.
It's a ping guy.
Well,
You
should,
got-
we,
you got-
we dump him and
You
I
got
can't-
win.
I don't
You
have
got
enough money
win
for that.
players and ping guys.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Hovland's a ping guy.
Yes.
Hovland's a ping guy
That's right.
too.
Yep.
We substituted a ping guy for a ping guy.
That's fine. Yep. Tony's
So
a
you're
much better
feeling
putter
okay.
right now.
Well, this should be fun. Small, 20 guys?
20 guys.
No cut.
No cut. No point in doing worst ball.
So on Friday night, I don't have to listen to LJ crying because 3 of his guys missed the cut.
Yeah. You can get
I was
the Saturday
cheering
movers.
last week or
Yeah.
the 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. I was cheering. No, I mean that's. I'm excited. This should be really good golf. It always is here, a World Challenge. It'll be fun to see Tiger Woods around the golf course again. Anxious to actually watch him play. Too bad it can't be this week, but yeah, I mean those are some solid teams. I'm excited to watch.
Okay, so back to folks. If there are some folks that want to make some money this week playing fantasy, you're recommending get yourself in one of those 20 teams deal and just start rotating. Maybe playing
Well, if
whatever your dollar amount, your comfort level is. I'd do quarters, but I'd maybe do 20 teams around a core group of guys.
Yeah. 10 cent. There's 10 cent per entry. There's 25% or 25 cent entries. Find 3 guys that you feel like are going to play well, that you're
Yeah.
feeling confident in, and build multiple lineups around those 3 guys. That's typically what the sharp players do. If you're going to do single entries, that's again, pick your 3 guys and just hope that the next 3 hit it.
yeah.
And there will be daily ones. So you could do just Thursday. You could do just Friday. So again, it's no cut. So typically those are more fun on a weekend when your guys didn't make the cut. But if you feel like your lineup's not doing well come Saturday, you're out of the money, throw in another $1 on guys that are still playing or that are playing still. So
No, a lot of
Gotcha.
options out there. Fun golf to watch.
I saw Kisner was added to and that ties us
He
back
is.
to the Hoagie conversation last week
Yeah.
because Kisner was the pick instead of
Into
Tom
the
for the
President's-
President's Cup.
You were grilling Tom. I mean, it was like back to back. He was like
good
President's
questions.
Cups,
Good questions.
giving it a hard ball, and then all of a sudden you throw in. So how about the most disappointing thing of all? Not having a
Oh, it's
state title.
It's real.
Yeah, no, and the President's Cup, I didn't realize. I mean, that stung him. He says, "Yeah, that was
And
tough."
rightfully
And he
so.
was,
That's-
and he
I would think
outplayed-
as a
he outplayed
competitor.
those guys
Yeah,
the
as a
week that he
competitor.
needed to get in.
I do think the guys in the locker room have a bigger say as to who they bring on than I think is publicized. And nothing
He
against
hinted on
Tom.
that, or he said reference that. a little
Right,
bit.
he did, yes, but I think it was a bigger factor than
Yeah.
people think. And nothing. Tom's a fantastic guy, and obviously there's stories about him having fun. But Kevin Kisner is like that's his brand. He's like golf is secondary. He's there to have fun, and I do think that was a big factor in that. And I feel for Tom because, like you said, he outperformed. If you look at golf,
Numbers dictated
No.
he should have been on that
Correct.
team, right? Yeah. So
correct. And he's
Well,
having. I mean, he's
he had the
having a
right
great
attitude,
year
though.
now.
He's just
Yeah.
going to learn from it, keep working harder, and hopefully
I
get in.
think you should be in a conversation again down the road because
Well-
of the season he's had so
Yep.
far. So
I mean, if
Yeah.
he follows it up again with this year Ryder Cup,
yeah,
that'd be
Boy, wouldn't that be phenomenal?
that'd be
Mhm.
awesome.
Yep.
You're going,
And you're going to be there, Mark.
You're going.
2023, yeah,
4. Yeah.
2023,
they flip
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
in Rome. I got tickets.
You
Yep.
and the Pope.
World traveler.
Yep. The Pope, he's a big golf fan. No, it just so happens that Pam and her family, they're doing they're French, and they're doing a wine
Wine
country
tour.
trip. I've been to Ireland, but I've never. And I said I'll go, but it needs to be around Ryder Cup. So we're actually going Saturday, Sunday Ryder Cup in Italy, and then we're
Nice.
joining her family in France. That was
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
off
I'm
work.
really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Right?
Caddy
Hope
for
we can
Tom.
get off work.
Caddy for Tom,
That would be something.
which I did one time in the U.S. Amateur qualifying.
Well, that's
Did you really?
He didn't put me back in the bag though. So.
Well, that'll happen.
But if he ever needs a replacement, I'll.
You're at the ready?
Give me a quick call.
All right.
Well, there you have it. Episode 7 or 8, I believe.
You're the one who's keeping track.
I know. I should know this. That's my fault. But yeah, thanks for joining in for another episode. Fun fact, we are now on Apple Podcasts as well. Actually, anywhere you listen to podcasts. So if you're listening on a spot you don't want to listen or watching on YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
Give
And
us
share.
a download.
And those
Share
that are
it.
listening, share. Make sure
Share
you
it.
tell friends, family,
Mhm.
significant others to have a listen.
Yep.
Hope you're enjoying
I
the
think-
content.
I think we're funny enough.
And
But
if they want to get a hold of David
Yeah.
and actually schedule a putter fitting or just talk to him about ping golf equipment or anything golf,
Get their picture taken.
how do
with
how do
Mr.
they get a hold of you,
Trinidad.
Dave?
You can either david.booth@sweetshots.com or just call Sweet Shots and I can get the call.
Or pop in. I know
Yes.
people just
Just
pop
drop-
in too.
yeah.
Come
That's-
through that
that's
academy
more-
entrance in the lowest level, and
Exactly.
you're right there.
And you're doing live loft adjustments. You're doing everything club repair as well, right?
Correct.
I mean,
On regular clubs, we're not doing that on putters yet, but we are doing it for irons mostly.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
and we'll make sure we put contact stuff in the show notes so that we get that out there for people. One easy click. But yeah, other than that, great show. Thanks so much to Dave for
Yep.
hopping on with us. Some great stories. Like I said, I'm sure you'll be back on again because you just scratched the surface. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.